There are books that carry more than words. They carry ancestral secrets that promise power but demand an incalculable price. Grimoires, known as manuals of magic, are symbols of humanity's quest for control over the uncontrollable, destiny. It is said that their pages teach rituals that allow one to summon entities, manipulate invisible energies, and alter reality itself. Yet, at the same time, they are shrouded in dark warnings, tales of curses, and cautions for those who dare to challenge the unknown. What makes these works so feared? Could they be gateways to something that transcends human understanding? Within this mystical universe circulates the legend of a forbidden grimoire, a work that, according to rumors, would grant its possessor the power to shape reality, influence lives, and even rewrite the future. But does such a book truly exist? Or is it merely a metaphor for humanity's deepest desires and fears? Grimoires are more than ordinary books. They are gateways to the unknown, filled with mysteries that transcend the boundaries of time and human comprehension. Historically, these manuals of magic were compiled by scholars, mystics, and magicians who believed in the existence of invisible laws governing the universe. Each page was carefully written, often encoded in symbols, arcane languages, or ciphers, so that only the initiated could access their secrets. But what was the purpose of keeping this knowledge hidden? These books provide detailed instructions on how to manipulate energies, summon spirits, gods, or demons, create talismans, and even forge pacts that could supposedly bring wealth, protection, or power. Famous grimoires, such as the Key of Solomon or the Book of Abramelin, are known for their complexity and the risks associated with the rituals described within their pages. However, for many, it is not just the content that frightens but the energy that seems to emanate from these texts. Could a physical object carry the intent of its author? Throughout history, grimoires have been demonized by organized religions, regarded as tools of evil or bridges to forces that humans were not meant to control. The Catholic Church, for instance, classified many of these texts as heretical, condemning those who owned them to the stake. The Inquisition burned thousands of grimoires, fearing that their dissemination would bring spiritual and social chaos. But which is more dangerous? The content of the books or what people are willing to do in pursuit of the power they promise? On the other hand, not all grimoires are considered malevolent. Some, such as the Book of Saint Cyprian, are known for their duality, serving both as a source of spiritual protection and a guide for darker spells. This ambiguity makes them even more fascinating because they reflect the complexity of human nature itself, light and darkness coexisting within the same space. But is anyone truly prepared to deal with the consequences of using them? Additionally, historical and cultural context is crucial to understanding the fear surrounding these books. In many cultures, writing itself was seen as magical, and grimoires represented the pinnacle of this power. In the Middle Ages, when few people could read, owning a mysterious book was synonymous with possessing power inaccessible to most. This alone generated distrust and fear. After all, who could guarantee that such an enigmatic text did not carry curses within its pages? Another factor that makes grimoires so feared is the cost associated with their use. Many accounts describe how attempting the rituals outlined in these books can lead to disasters, from mental disturbances to inexplicable tragedies. There are records of individuals who, after dealing with a grimoire, began reporting dark presences, financial ruin, and even family breakdowns. This raises an unsettling question. Is the promised power merely an illusion meant to destroy those who seek it? Modern science, however, offers a different perspective on grimoires. Some scholars believe these books functioned as psychological tools, projecting the deepest fears and desires of their readers. They could be compared to Jungian archetypes, serving as mirrors of the unconscious. But is that enough to explain the tales of curses and the strange events reported over centuries? Indeed, the influence of grimoires extends beyond the personal sphere. Some of these books have had a direct impact on esoteric traditions that shaped entire movements, such as the ceremonial magic of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and modern occultism. Their teachings inspired figures like Aleister Crowley, who saw grimoires as tools for exploring the boundaries of the human spirit. But is the knowledge offered in these pages truly a path to enlightenment, or merely a trap for the ambitious? Another intriguing point is the very origin of grimoires. Some researchers believe many of these texts were inspired by older traditions, such as the esoteric teachings of Egypt, Babylon, and Jewish Kabbalah. This would explain why so many of them seem to share universal symbols and concepts. But does this ancestral connection reinforce the idea that there is something profoundly true behind these practices? Over time, grimoires have also taken on an almost mythical status. Certain texts, like the Necronomicon, are considered fictional, created by writers such as H.P. Lovecraft. Yet they continue to fascinate and lead many to question whether works like these could have any basis in reality. What if the most powerful grimoires were deliberately hidden or destroyed to protect humanity? Ultimately, what makes grimoires truly terrifying is the idea that they offer something most of us crave: control. Control over destiny, over the world around us, and, most importantly, over the invisible forces that govern life. But is such control really possible? Or is it merely an illusion, bringing us closer to the unknown but never allowing us to fully master it? Within the vast world of grimoires, persistent rumors speak of a manuscript so powerful that it was deliberately hidden or destroyed to protect humanity. This book, often referred to as the Forbidden Grimoire, is said to contain the ultimate secrets to shaping reality, controlling the forces of destiny, and accessing invisible dimensions. But what makes this legend so captivating? Is it merely a myth fueled by human imagination, or a hidden truth buried under layers of mystery? The first striking aspect of the Forbidden Grimoire is its obscure origin. Unlike works such as the Key of Solomon, which have historical records and translations spanning centuries, the Forbidden Grimoire appears only in fragments of oral stories, occultist diaries, and lost manuscripts. Some traditions claim it was written by a supernatural entity, such as a fallen angel or an interdimensional being, while others suggest it was created by a group of humans who reached a level of knowledge beyond what is permitted. But regardless of its origin, one question remains: how could a book promising such power vanish so completely? One of the most common theories is that the Forbidden Grimoire was intentionally destroyed by those who feared the consequences of its use. Imagine the potential chaos if a text capable of shaping reality fell into the wrong hands. Reports suggest that the book could grant the ability to alter time, manipulate future events, and influence the lives of others on an unimaginable scale. However, the cost of such power would be equally devastating, demanding extreme sacrifices, both spiritual and physical. Another intriguing detail is the possible connection between the Forbidden Grimoire and existing, well-known texts. Some scholars believe it may be a lost or more advanced version of works such as the Book of Abramelin, which describes complex rituals to attain the Holy Guardian Angel, or even the Book of Raziel, attributed to the angel Raziel, who supposedly passed its teachings to Adam. Could the fragmented versions we know today be mere shadows of a more complete and dangerous text? Interestingly, many stories tied to the Forbidden Grimoire mention that it was never a book in the traditional sense. Some say it only manifested to those ready to receive it, as a direct revelation of knowledge. Other accounts describe it as a text that inexplicably disappeared after being read, as though the book itself decided its time was over. This leads us to wonder, what if the Forbidden Grimoire was not a physical object but a mental or spiritual portal to another plane of existence? To deepen the mystery, various cultures have records of books promising something similar to what is attributed to the Forbidden Grimoire. In Islamic tradition, for example, there is mention of the Kitab al-Azif, associated with the fictional Necronomicon, which contains secrets so terrible that merely reading it could drive a person insane. In Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah is considered a manual capable of creating life, while the Picatrix, of Arabic origin, teaches astrological practices to manipulate celestial energies. Could these works be fragments of the same knowledge, interpreted differently across centuries? One of the more controversial theories suggests that the Forbidden Grimoire still exists, hidden in some inaccessible place. Some speculate it is locked away in secret vaults within the Vatican, protected by those who historically condemned grimoires as heretical. Others believe it is in the hands of secret societies that use it to maintain their influence over the world. This idea raises a provocative question. If the book truly exists, who would be worthy or capable of using it without bringing destruction? The psychological impact of the Forbidden Grimoire's legend cannot be ignored. The idea of a text capable of granting absolute control over destiny resonates deeply within the human psyche. After all, who has not wished for the power to change the past, foresee the future, or rewrite the events around them? Yet, at the same time, is humanity truly prepared to handle such responsibility? History suggests that unrestrained power often leads to ruin. If the forbidden grimoire is merely a legend, it still serves an important purpose, reflecting our greatest fears and desires. It represents the relentless pursuit of knowledge and the fascination with what lies beyond human reach. But it is also a reminder that some doors, once opened, may be impossible to close. On the other hand, those who believe in the existence of the forbidden grimoire argue that it proves knowledge is always just beyond our full grasp. Perhaps it is a metaphor for the universe itself, vast, mysterious, and impossible to completely dominate. But is the real danger in the book, or in the mind of the one who seeks it? Grimoires are not merely books. They are spiritual tools that, according to mystics and occultists, serve as guides to accessing invisible dimensions and manipulating the forces of the universe. Since ancient times, these texts have been used in practices that go far beyond everyday understanding, requiring discipline, focus, and deep knowledge. But how exactly are these works utilized by those who possess them? One of the most fundamental aspects of using grimoires is their central role in ceremonial magic. These texts often include detailed descriptions of rituals that must be followed with precision. This involves the use of specific tools such as candles, mirrors, talismans, consecrated daggers, and magic circles. Each element carries symbolic and energetic significance, and any failure in execution could, according to practitioners, compromise the results or even attract unwanted forces. But are these requirements mere formalities, or do they truly reflect something profound about occult laws? Beyond the tools, many grimoires include formulas for invocations, ranging from protective angels to spirits and demons. For example, the Key of Solomon teaches how to seal pacts with spiritual entities to gain wisdom or fulfill specific desires. However, these practices require more than just reading and following instructions. They demand an elevated state of mind and, often, a deep spiritual commitment. The person performing these rituals must be prepared for the potential repercussions, both physical and spiritual. But how can one truly be ready to face the unknown? A crucial point in grimoires is the manipulation of energies. Texts like the Pickatrix detail how to align astrological forces to maximize the effectiveness of rituals. The idea is that celestial bodies directly influence earthly energies, and the success of a magical operation depends on performing the ritual at the correct astrological moment. This raises an interesting question. Could magic be an ancient science based on cosmic laws we do not yet fully understand? However, it is not only complex rituals that define the use of grimoires. Some practices described in these texts have a more inward focus, aiming at the spiritual transformation of the practitioner. The Book of Abramelin, for example, requires a purification period that can last months or even years, involving fasting, prayer, and meditation. The goal is to contact the Holy Guardian Angel, an entity that, according to tradition, serves as a spiritual guide and source of enlightenment. But this intense process also presents challenges. How many are truly willing to sacrifice so much for a spiritual goal that, for many, remains subjective? While grimoires are often viewed as manuals for acquiring power, many also warn of the dangers of pride and the misuse of that power. The texts frequently caution that magical power must be used responsibly, as the universe always seeks balance. Selfish or malicious practices, according to grimoires, may trigger a backlash, resulting in negative consequences for the practitioner. Does this not also reflect a parallel with the natural laws of life, where irresponsible actions inevitably lead to repercussions? Another fascinating aspect is the description of pacts in grimoires. Some texts teach how to seal agreements with entities, offering something in exchange for favors or knowledge. However, these pacts often require sacrifices, not necessarily of blood, as often imagined, but emotional, spiritual, or material sacrifices. For example, the practitioner may be instructed to give up certain habits or even sever personal ties. This raises a profound question. How far would someone go to achieve their goals? Over the centuries, some practices described in grimoires have been adapted by different cultures, blending with local traditions. In Haiti, for example, Vodou incorporates magical elements similar to those found in European grimoires but reinterpreted through its own spiritual beliefs. This shows that the essence of grimoires transcends cultural boundaries, pointing to something universal in humanity's desire for connection with the unseen. One detail that cannot be ignored is the psychological impact of working with a grimoire. Many practitioners report feeling a presence or distinct energy while engaging with these texts. Some interpret this as a sign of accessing spiritual dimensions, while others believe it is the manifestation of their own fears or desires. Do grimoires truly have the power to open portals to other realities, or do they simply bring us face to face with what already lies within us? For those who strictly follow the teachings of these books, the ultimate goal is often not material power but self-knowledge. Grimoires like the Sefer Yetzirah, from Jewish tradition, emphasize creating harmony between the practitioner and the universe. They suggest that true magic lies not in manipulating the external world but in transforming oneself. Could this inner quest be what draws so many to these mysterious texts? Finally, grimoires are also used as tools for study and reflection, even by those who do not practice magic directly. For scholars of esotericism, these works provide a window into the beliefs and practices of past eras, inspiring new interpretations of mysticism's role in human life. Perhaps grimoires are not just guides for rituals, but also invitations to explore the depths of the mind and spirit. Behind the promises of absolute power, grimoires carry an unsettling shadow: the risks associated with using their secrets. For centuries, stories of curses, obsessions, and tragedies have followed those who dared to open the pages of a forbidden grimoire. But how much truth lies in these warnings? Are these accounts merely superstitions, or do they reflect something much deeper about the nature of the power these texts offer? Tales of curses often center around inexplicable events occurring after someone interacts with a grimoire. Stories abound of practitioners experiencing a series of misfortunes, ranging from financial ruin to health issues, that began immediately after attempting a ritual. Others describe sensations of being watched or pursued by invisible forces, as if something had been awakened and could no longer be contained. This raises a question: are these effects real, or are they the product of fear and psychological suggestion? One of the most intriguing elements of these accounts is that they are not limited to personal events. Some stories speak of grimoires that carry such a heavy, energetic weight that they affect everyone around them, including entire families and, in extreme cases, even communities. In the tradition of the Book of Saint Cyprian, for instance, there is a belief that merely owning the book can bring misfortune to a household. But does this happen because of the book itself, or because of how people handle the unknown? Improperly performed or incomplete rituals are among the most commonly cited causes of danger associated with grimoires. Many texts explicitly warn about the consequences of neglecting seemingly minor details, such as correctly drawing symbols or creating protective circles. A mistake in crafting a sigil or a mispronunciation in an incantation could, according to practitioners, invite hostile entities or uncontrolled energies. This raises a crucial question: do the dangers stem from the book itself or from the lack of preparation of those who attempt to use it? Another important factor is the psychological impact of working with a grimoire. Immersion in rituals and the attempt to deal with unseen forces can lead to paranoia, insomnia, and even hallucinations. Some accounts describe individuals who, after weeks or months of attempting to follow a grimoire's instructions, began to sense a constant presence around them, as if something were always lurking nearby. Is this a spiritual side effect or a manifestation of the human subconscious grappling with the unknown? Beyond direct risks, there is also the concept of a spiritual price. Many grimoires speak of pacts and sacrifices required to obtain the promised power. These sacrifices are not always material. Sometimes they involve giving up something deeper, such as a part of one's soul or severing emotional connections. Some traditions suggest that this price may manifest as an internal void, a sense of disconnection from the world, or even spiritual isolation. This prompts a profound reflection. Is the power worth the loss of what makes us human? Many grimoires also come with stories of authors or former owners who met tragic fates. Records exist of alchemists and magicians who died under mysterious circumstances after publishing or attempting to use certain texts. These deaths are often interpreted as warnings for the curious. Are these stories coincidences, or proof that some knowledge is meant to remain hidden? Another danger attributed to grimoires is the obsessive fascination they can generate. Some practitioners report that once they began studying a text, they were consumed by a compulsion to understand and apply its teachings, to the point of neglecting their personal lives. This kind of obsession can become a trap, causing individuals to lose perspective on what truly matters. Is this an effect of the grimoire itself, or simply the manifestation of humanity's insatiable desire for power and control. Beyond spiritual and psychological risks, there is a symbolic element in the dangers associated with grimoires. Many texts teach that hidden knowledge is like a double-edged sword. It can enlighten, but it can also destroy. This duality reflects a universal dilemma. Is humanity ready to handle the secrets of the universe without destroying itself in the process? Grimoires also remind us of an uncomfortable truth. Power is never neutral. It always carries consequences. A ritual aimed at altering someone's destiny could, according to the concept of karmic return found in various traditions, unleash unpredictable effects on the practitioner. This idea leads us to question whether the real danger lies in the grimoire itself or in the human heart and the way we handle the power we seek. However, it is important to note that not all grimoires are considered malevolent or dangerous. Some texts, such as the Sefer Yetzirah, are viewed as guides for self-knowledge and spiritual growth. The difference lies in the intention of the one using them. But can the desire for self-discovery ever be completely separated from the desire for control? Ultimately, the dangers attributed to forbidden grimoires can be seen as reflections of the eternal conflict between humanity's desire for power and its fear of the consequences. They remind us that knowledge, no matter how fascinating, carries responsibility. Perhaps the warnings about curses and tragedies are more than stories meant to frighten. They may be lessons about the limits of human power and the need for humility in the face of the unknown. The notion of a grimoire as a tool for controlling destiny is one of the most intriguing yet unsettling concepts in occultism. These texts are perceived not merely as books but as gateways, keys to understanding and influencing the invisible forces that govern existence. For many, a grimoire represents more than a repository of rituals. It is a guide to mastering the universal laws underpinning reality. Yet, this raises a profound question. Can destiny truly be controlled, or is this promise a perilous illusion? One of the foundational steps described in many grimoires is the identification of one's true purpose. Texts such as the Book of Abramelin and the Sefer Yetzirah emphasize that to manipulate destiny, one must first achieve self-awareness. This pursuit of self-knowledge is considered essential, as the ability to alter reality is intrinsically tied to the clarity of one's intentions and desires. However, this poses a significant challenge. How many individuals genuinely understand their deepest motivations and goals? The process of manipulating destiny often involves intricate rituals designed to align human will with universal forces. A notable example is the use of sigils, symbols crafted to represent specific intentions. According to grimoires, sigils function as vibrational tools, transmitting desires into the cosmic fabric. Yet, the efficacy of such practices is contingent upon the practitioner's mental and spiritual state. This raises the question, does the true power lie within the symbol itself, or within the focused will of the individual who creates it? A recurring theme in grimoires is the invocation of spiritual entities as intermediaries. Texts like the Key of Solomon provide detailed instructions on summoning angels, demons, or elemental spirits for guidance or assistance. These entities are believed to act as conduits between the practitioner and universal forces, capable of influencing events and outcomes. However, such interactions are rarely straightforward. Historical accounts suggest that these entities often demand reciprocation, reinforcing the principle that all power comes at a cost. This invites critical reflection. How far is one willing to go to achieve their desires, and what price is acceptable? Many grimoires also explore the synchronization of rituals with cosmic cycles as a means of shaping destiny. The Picatrix, for instance, emphasizes the importance of timing, suggesting that astrological alignments significantly enhance the effectiveness of magical workings. This approach is rooted in the belief that the universe operates through cyclical patterns, and by understanding these rhythms, one can harness the natural flow of destiny rather than opposing it. However, this perspective provokes debate. Does such synchronization equate to true control, or does it merely create an illusion of mastery over larger, immutable forces? Another compelling concept found within grimoires is the idea of destiny as a fluid construct. Many texts assert that reality is malleable and can be reshaped through deliberate action, yet they often impose boundaries on this malleability. Certain traditions describe destiny as comprising fixed nodes or pivotal events that are inevitable and unchangeable. The role of the grimoire, then, is not to erase these nodes, but to grant practitioners the freedom to navigate the spaces between them. This raises a philosophical dilemma. Who or what determines which aspects of destiny are negotiable? Despite their transformative potential, grimoires frequently caution against recklessness. The pursuit of control, if unchecked, can devolve into obsession, and many texts explicitly warn against using these tools impulsively or selfishly. Historical anecdotes recount instances where individuals, in their quest for personal gain, inadvertently caused harm to others or even themselves. Such cautionary tales prompt a broader ethical question. Should destiny be manipulated at all, or is it better understood and accepted as an immutable reality? The ethical implications of altering destiny are a central concern in grimoire practices. Intervening in the natural flow of events often entails interfering with the free will of others or disrupting the balance of universal forces. Many grimoires caution that such interference may lead to unforeseen consequences, including cascading disruptions that extend far beyond the practitioner's intentions. This underscores the complexity of the practice. Does the pursuit of control ultimately equate to meddling with forces that are beyond human comprehension? Conversely, proponents of grimoire-based practices argue that these texts are tools of empowerment rather than instruments of domination. From this perspective, the purpose of a grimoire is not to force reality into submission, but to harmonize one's actions with a higher purpose, unlocking latent potential within the practitioner. In this light, controlling destiny becomes less about exerting dominance and more about achieving alignment with the natural order. If this interpretation holds, the grimoire's true value lies not in altering destiny but in teaching individuals to approach it with mindfulness and intentionality. An intriguing aspect of working with grimoires is the role of faith. Many practitioners contend that belief in the efficacy of a ritual is a prerequisite for its success. This introduces a paradox. If the ability to change destiny depends on belief, does faith itself become the driving force behind the change? Alternatively, is faith merely a mechanism for focusing the practitioner's intent, while the actual change is driven by deeper, universal principles? Ultimately, grimoires present a dualistic perspective on destiny. They may be seen as tools for liberation, offering practitioners the means to engage with life more deliberately and consciously. However, they also serve as reminders of the limits of human understanding. Even with the most advanced knowledge, the full scope of destiny remains elusive, shrouded in mystery. Perhaps the true essence of control lies not in rewriting reality but in embracing one's role within it, navigating life with a balance of agency and humility. In the 21st century, grimoires continue to captivate and intrigue, even in an era dominated by science and technology. Although many associate them with the distant past, these mysterious texts have resurfaced as symbols of power and mystery in modern culture. They appear in films, series, literature, and even video games, often depicted as objects that guard forbidden and inaccessible secrets. But what is the true role of grimoires in our times? Do they still hold spiritual relevance, or are they merely relics of a bygone mysticism? To begin, it's interesting to note how the portrayal of grimoires has evolved. In the Middle Ages, these texts were considered real threats to the established order, hunted down and destroyed by the Church. Today, they occupy a different place in the collective imagination. In works like Harry Potter or The Witcher, grimoires are portrayed as essential tools for wizards and sorcerers, but also as sources of danger. This duality reflects something about our modern relationship with the unknown. While we admire it, we also fear its power. But does this fictionalized portrayal distract from their true spiritual essence? Despite cultural romanticization, grimoires still play an important role in contemporary esoteric practices. Many modern occultists view these texts not as tools for manipulating the external world, but as guides for inner transformation. For example, the Book of Abramelin, which demands months of purification before attempting any ritual, is now used as a tool for self-discovery. It teaches that true magic lies not in controlling the world, but in aligning oneself with the forces that sustain it. Isn't this a universal message that remains relevant, even in such a rational age? Moreover, grimoires have found new life within spiritual movements such as Wicca and Neopaganism. Texts like the Book of Shadows are essentially modern grimoires, created to record personal practices, rituals, and teachings. This adaptation demonstrates that, while ancient grimoires were written for specific contexts, their essence, the quest for understanding and spiritual connection, is timeless. Could it be that every generation recreates its own grimoires to reflect its unique spiritual needs? Another fascinating point is how grimoires are reinterpreted through the lens of psychology and modern science. Some scholars argue that the rituals described in these texts function as techniques to focus the mind and access the unconscious. From this perspective, sigils, incantations, and symbols serve as tools to activate internal archetypes, allowing practitioners to unlock hidden aspects of their psyche. This suggests that grimoires are not only about external magic, but also about self-mastery. Does this diminish their spiritual value, or does it make them more accessible to the modern mind? Beyond psychology, grimoires are also explored from historical and anthropological perspectives. Books like the Pacts provide insights into medieval astrological beliefs, while the Sefer Yetzirah reveals the influence of Kabbalah on Jewish mystical thought. For scholars, these texts are not just sources of magic, but also repositories of cultural and philosophical knowledge. This raises a question. Is the true value of grimoires in their practical power or the wisdom they preserve? Interestingly, the rise of technology has not diminished the fascination with grimoires. If anything, it has amplified it. Today, digitized versions of ancient texts like the Key of Solomon are easily accessible, and online forums and communities share interpretations and experiences, connecting practitioners worldwide. This democratization of access poses an intriguing question. Does magic lose its potency when it becomes widely available? Or is the real power in how each individual uses the knowledge? On the other hand, the modern interest in grimoires reveals a dissatisfaction with a materialistic worldview. Many people turn to these texts seeking answers to questions science cannot address: purpose, spiritual connection, and the meaning of life. In this sense, grimoires function as bridges to something greater, a reminder that there are mysteries we have yet to unravel. Perhaps this explains why, in a world so technologically advanced, mysticism still holds a significant place. Another factor keeping grimoires relevant is their role as metaphors. Some modern occultists suggest that the true grimoire resides within each person, a symbolic book containing the lessons and experiences accumulated over a lifetime. From this perspective, the rituals described in texts are external representations of an internal process of growth and self-understanding. But are we ready to view magic as something so deeply personal? In popular culture, grimoires often serve as reminders of the responsibility that comes with power. Films and books frequently depict characters who face dire consequences for using these texts recklessly or selfishly. This reflects a central theme in occultism. Power without wisdom is a recipe for disaster. Even in fictional contexts, this lesson resonates with real-world issues of ethics and balance. Can these stories teach us something about how we handle our own power, both personal and collective? Ultimately, the esoteric significance of grimoires in modern culture can be summarized in one word: potential. They represent the human potential to explore the unknown, grow spiritually, and seek answers beyond the limitations of material reality. Whether as practical tools or as symbols, grimoires continue to inspire those who dare to open their pages, whether physical or metaphorical, and confront the mysteries they contain. Grimoires, whether real or symbolic, continue to fascinate humanity with their promises of power, wisdom, and connection to the unknown. Over the centuries, these enigmatic texts have evolved from practical tools for magicians to cultural symbols reflecting our desire to control destiny and understand the invisible forces shaping our existence. Perhaps their greatest teaching is that true power does not lie within their pages, but in the inner transformation they inspire in those who dare to venture into their mysteries. So, what do you think about the role of grimoires in today's world? Are they ancient relics, or do they still hold a place in modern spiritual practices? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you're curious to explore more about spirituality and uncover deeper truths, I've handpicked some incredible videos for you. Just click on one to continue your journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating insights. Remember, your commitment to knowledge is the first step in transforming your reality. Let's dive deeper into the mysteries together.